Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you've forgotten, we're here to remind you because Nurse Mark wrote a book here.
Absolutely fucking amazing, which
AFA.
is what you are.
You are.
I know every day you tune in and we say the same things. Well, you know what? That's because we need to be reminded. And oh my gosh, the Daily Love will point that out today because we're going to talk about how we can get off track a little bit.
Oh,
So
there
remember,
we go.
Sherry, I don't care what you say. You're absolutely fucking amazing.
Oh,
Absolutely. And so is everybody else. All the people that listen to us, every single one of them, absolutely amazing.
So just a real quick reminder, Mark,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that are joining us from all over the globe who
Yeah.
haven't understood,
Right.
what was the premise of the book? Because there's
Well, the
everyone's
premise of
got a
the book,
story, and here it is.
yeah. The
Just so
premise
people
of
can
the
have
book
something
is
else to
my
do.
journey in uncovering exactly, what caused me to be the way I am in the world, right? Because the way we are in the world really isn't by choice. It's swear to God, you'll see, you read it in the book, once you understand that most of how we show up in the world is all predetermined by the stories that our parents put on us, the stories that our grandparents, that our friends, that our groups that we grew up with, they put all their stories into us. Think about it. Religion's a story. You're not born with a religion.
Right.
You're given a story, right? And
Right.
so if you happen to grow up in a Catholic family, you get a Catholic story. If you grow up in a Muslim family, you get a Muslim story, right? You didn't choose that. It's just what was in that space. So it's peeling back all those layers and getting to this fundamental place of choice where you get to decide who you want to be in the world. And sometimes you slip back, right?
Yeah,
like I've had a couple of months of slipping back into just being somebody that I don't necessarily want to be, right? But it's all based on I understood where it came from.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier to peel that away again and step into the world and be the way that I want to be in the world, which is powerful and loving, as you know, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You taught me all about that, Nurse Mark.
Yeah.
And I was at a low point at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, us having these conversations, and you wrote this book not only for the world but for yourself. So you think about it.
Got to reread it and say, "Oh my God, Mark, remember that? Yeah. Oh my God, remember that? You're absolutely amazing, even when you don't feel like it."
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me that you said to me was, Jerry, when you're going into a conversation, not just think about what is the most loving and most powerful thing you could say or do. That's going to be helpful to you and the other person.
And
so
you
really
ran with that, like you ran with it.
Boink! That was like
Boink. It was like the light switch. You're like, oh my God, okay, all right, and you stepped into it, and every time you would just be loving and powerful. Imagine that. Imagine being loving and powerful in every relationship that you have, like everyone, like with the coffee shop person, with your significant other, if you have one. You know what I mean? Just being loving and powerful in every relationship. Imagine what your life is like. Look at what your life is like.
All right, it is. But here it is. But
what's going on in your life today? Holy shit, you're like living the best life ever.
Living my best life, but here it is. But I had to shift. This is going to lead into too, I think, a little bit of the daily love, because I was doing a little meditating this morning, and Mark's going to do the daily love. I'm going to do little book of wisdom.
Yeah, baby.
And it leads into this whole topic of what one of my favorite writers, Don Miguel Ruiz, right?
Oh yeah, I love his stuff.
The Four Agreements. He writes The Mastery of Love. He's written a lot of different things, and so this what I'm going to read comes from the Little Book of Wisdom, and it has to do with how we look at the world and perception. So what he writes is, I know it is. So what he writes is this: we believe that we're living in an external reality, but in truth, all we ever see is the inside of our heads. Sure, we can perceive all the objects around us, but each one of us will have a completely different point of view. No two people see things the exact same way. So like we talk about, you know, it's like how I want whatever is going on inside of my head is how I'm going to see through the world. So if I'm in a peaceful space, no matter what's going on, like there is the world, what is, things are happening.
What is, right?
We give meaning and stories to it. So here's a classic example. Someone sent me and how I can look at it.
Yeah.
Someone sent me a text message that was really, at first I was like annoyed. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I wanted to go to it. I'm like, no, let's just let it sit. You go and you do something, right? To pull yourself out of the story, because that text message triggered, you know, you come up and triggered a visceral response based on past stories.
The you who's really you had nothing to do with that response.
Right.
And what you're talking about now, that's stepping away, is the you that's really you saying, hey,
this is bullshit.
Let's put automated Sherry aside now.
Yeah.
Let's put automated Sherry aside and just kind of sit with it, right? This is beautiful, Sherry.
You know, it is. And so I sit with it, and I'm like, okay, you know, but this took work for me to come to this place to be able to do it.
Yes, it takes work.
But the reward is so funny. So a few hours later, after I did some grounding, hugged a tree, you know, did a little puff, did a little meditation, I go back to that text message and I'm able to look at it through a different lens, because I was in a space of more peace.
It's this, Sherry.
That's it.
Right? It's these, then it's these, then it's some more. Like, you just pulled the glasses off and you're like, okay, let's look at what's really going on here.
Right. Exactly.
Bravo, Sherry.
So stepping into the place of acting loving and powerful,
you
know, comes from a place of peace, you know, comes from a place of being in a space of homeostasis, right? We call it that bioenergetic, biopsychosocial, spiritual place of peace. And you can't be there when you're stuck in a visceral response from a past experience. You just can't.
That's all it is.
Right.
All it is.
And
love it.
And cannabis, just so you know.
Cannabis
really, really helps with that.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it just helps you to process things from a different perspective. But it's not about numbing out too. It's so
no.
easy.
It's about accessing a different perspective. That's all it is. It's about putting a different set of glasses on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's talk about let's move right into the daily love, because I think it's like all tied in together,
good.
Sherry.
I love this. This is good stuff.
All right, here we go. This is called tender. I am tender with myself and all others. The world can feel harsh and unforgiving sometimes. I can find relief and withdraw for a time, touching deep peace and prayer and other times of quiet contemplation. But what can I do to feel peaceful when I return my attention to the world? I can use my peaceful feelings to move gently through life, treating myself and all others tenderly. I try tenderness to slow the frantic pace and soothe the frazzled nerves so often caused by modern life. Consideration and kindness are at the heart of tender living. I soften my words, those I speak to others, as well as my self-talk. I look for ways to ease another's way and extend patience and grace to those who may be struggling. With a full and gentle heart, I am tender. Now, Sherry, you know, for us overachievers, it's all about the hustle. It's all about the grind. It's all about the push. It's about winning in this world. So when we read something about being tender, it's like, yeah, that doesn't sound very good. Sounds like we'll lose if we're tender.
Right.
No, that's just the old stories, right?
Old stories.
So right here, right here, says, I try tenderness to slow the frantic pace and soothe the frazzled nerves so often caused by modern life. Think about it, Sherry. The time that we live in right now, we're inundated with information all day long. From the moment we wake up till the moment we go to sleep, we are inundated with information. not truth, just information, right? Millions of data points. We're not designed to take in all of that information, right? At this point. So, you know, trying a little tenderness, relaxing into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The tenderness. And here's the thing too, is, you know, we bring it right into cannabis, right? So
listen, cannabis makes you more tender.
It does.
Fuck yes. Absolutely. Think about it. I mean, I talk about this a lot. I'm like, you know, I was in the Marines when I was 17, right? So I've been in a lot of bar rooms, been in a few bar room brawls, right? And I can guarantee you, if you took out alcohol and inserted cannabis in each one of those situations, it wouldn't have been a barroom brawl. It would have been a hug fest, like, love you, bro. Love you, man. Like, that would have been it. It would have been a tender situation. Like, cannabis brings you to the tender moments.
And here it is. That's like a really good analogy, right? So if you're in neutral, you drink alcohol, you go to one side. You do cannabis, you go to the other side. It's like the positive. It just shows the polarity right there, you know, in just behavior, response, and how people interact in a social setting. That's like very powerful. You know, it's true though. And cannabis does allow us to access, like we say, different neural pathways, helps us to process information from different point of views, helps to pull us out of the story, helps to change the dialogue of how we even talk to ourselves and others. Really, really good.
Hey, Bobby Joe popped up. Hey, listen, keep going, Bobby Joe. That's it. Just keep going. Stay positive and stay tender.
Stay tender and take a puff.
Heck yeah. Good morning, everybody. Brian, Michelle. What's up?
What's up? Here we are. All
right. So, Sherry, Terpene Tuesday, hugging a nug. What are we talking about today?
All right. So today's Terpene Tuesday, and we're going to be discussing Humulene.
Yes. First, I was hoping it was Humulene.
Humulene's a good one. It's a good one.
Yes, it is.
But Mark, first, let's talk about what are terpenes.
Oh, Sherry. Ooh, terpenes are organic compounds that produce specific smells and tastes in plants. And they're found in cannabis and other plants, essential oils, trees. And get this, they're in our foods. Like, they've been in our foods forever. The spices, you know, the smells and the tastes. Terpenes. Yeah, so in cannabis, terpenes help to ward off attacks from animals. It's really true in most plants, right? Terpenes help to ward off attacks from animals, insects, fungus during the time that plant is growing. So when a cannabis plant goes through the curation process, the terpenes become oxidized, which is a process that they go through, and it results in what we know now are terpenoids. And Sherry, what's the beauty of a terpene?
So the beauty, that's what I love. The beauty of the terpenes is that they contribute to the entourage effect. And each terpene has its own medicinal healing property. So the entourage effect, you think about this, it suggests that utilizing all the cannabinoids and terpenes together produce a more potent medicinal effect rather than using the isolated compounds alone. So another way of saying that is the whole of the plant is greater than its individual parts. And when we talk about, right, the endocannabinoid system, right, and how we want cannabinoids to shower on our umbrella, right? So we have multiple different constituents of the plant, cannabinoids, which all have their own medicinal properties. And you have terpenes that have their own medicinal properties, essential fatty acids, bioflavonoids, and cannaflavonoids.
Flavonoids. We did a flavonoid Friday, right? We talked about flavonoids. It's so good.
Yes. So, you know, it's just amazing how when this plant comes together, how it has, as you know, I love Elizabeth Mack's quote on it is pleiotropic. You know, it's like a big word for how it's basically covering our entire umbrella. All right, our umbrella. Just imagine the umbrella is your body. All the spokes of the umbrella are your different organ systems. And the fabric pieces that attach to the spokes of the umbrella are the neurotransmitter signaling systems. Top of the umbrella, endocannabinoid system blankets on our entire body because we have receptors on all of our cell surfaces, on all of our organ systems. and at the neurotransmitter signaling junction sites. So we have an endocannabinoid system, not because of the plant, but because we make something very similar to the plant, right?
That's exactly right.
Anandamine, the plant makes THC.
Yeah.
When you look at the molecular structure is similar, and it unlocks that door to start the process.
Yes.
Of keeping our umbrella, going up and down nicely.
Moving.
Allowing our bodies to get into the flow state of being able to autocorrect.
Flow state. God, yes. I love that.
Flow state, mind, body, spirit. Everything is working in harmony. We're like a well-oiled machine. So anyway.
Well-oiled machine. So Humulene helps that. Now, listen, Humulene is really freaking cool.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, we're not lying about this.
I know.
If you know about Humulene, you're one of the cool kids, right? This is something you really got to pay attention to, because Humulene is an isomer of beta-caryophyllene, or they've called it alpha-caryophyllene. Now, why is that important? Because beta-caryophyllene, although it's a terpene by chemical nature, it's also considered like almost a cannabinoid. It's considered another minor cannabinoid because it has this potent effect in the human body. Oh,
yeah. It interacts with CB2 receptors in a way.
Sure does.
Yeah, that's the part that's so cool. And CB2 receptors are those receptors that are primarily in our immune system and some of our other organs.
Right. So what's an isomer, Sherry?
So an isomer means that each of the two compounds have the same formula, but a different arrangement of molecules with different energy states.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So many of the same plants that contain beta-caryophyllene, such as basil, sage, and clove, again, all of the things we use for spices, they also contain humulene with similar aromas.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So here's another big word.
It's a sesquiterpene, Sherry.
It's a sesquiterpene roll. Well, so while humulene is like relatively common, it's often found in lower concentrations in cannabis. So you really need to look at, when you're looking for humulene, you're looking at COAs, looking at the terpene profile. But the other thing that's so cool, like Mark had said earlier, is terpenes are found in other components, essential oils, foods, herbs. So where else is humulene found, Mark?
Oh my God. So hops, which are, of course, a cousin of cannabis, right? Yep. Hops that's in beer is of the same family as cannabis. So you have it in hops, basil, coriander, sage, clove, black pepper, balsam fir tree, ginseng. Now the balsam fir tree, think about it, back in the day when they had those little scented pillows, you ever get those scented pillows? Your grandmother had one that was a balsam fir. Well, why did they have that? Because it was the terpenes and the smells made you feel good, right? Made you feel like you were in a pine forest.
I never knew that's what that was.
Yeah, that's like goes back to like way back in the day when you were living in the woods, right? That's like it reminds you as a human being. Oh, the smell of the woods.
I remember my grandmother had those in her drawers.
Yes.
Her clothing drawers.
Right. The cedar smell, right? To make sure the moths didn't eat your clothes. Yeah. Back in the day, folks, moths ate your clothes.
They did.
They still can if you're not careful. Yeah. Right.
So the smell of humulene is herbaceous, spicy, earthy, woody, and it also has subtle floral aromas that come in through the background if you really got a good shot.
Yeah. So what are some of the benefits here? We got some good ones. Number one, there's a benefit, weight loss. It can act as an appetite suppressant, right? Humulene works alongside other chemicals in cannabis to promote weight loss. And I've had that question before. Now, we don't have any like double-blind studies that will say this is exactly what it is. But I mean, I'll tell you, my anecdotal story is, cannabis decreases my appetite.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Everybody always worries about the munchies, right? But CBD especially decreased my appetite, right?
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who needs to take in extra calories, maybe you got to watch what, change your little mix there, because for me, it decreased appetite, which is definitely something that I need in my life on occasion, because I really do love food.
I know, me too. And I had an issue. This is like a really good part too. So
Yeah.
this is the importance of looking at terpenes, because at one point in time I did get a tincture.
Yeah.
And the tincture was great. It had other,
Yep.
like elderberry, had other things in
Mhm.
it. And I didn't see I didn't look at the terpene profile. But I
Yeah.
was wondering why. God, I'm not
Yeah.
hungry. And for me, I need to I need to eat,
You
right?
need to have some
I need to
sustenance.
have sustenance.
Yes.
And so the issue with that was, so, here I was balancing and I was like, wait a minute, I got to really look what else is in here that's doing that.
Right.
And then that was really the difference. And so,
Yeah.
for me, having Humulene in a product isn't
Mhm.
good, because
Right.
I
Because
need
you need to have you need the appetite.
I need the appetite. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah. Speaking about appetite, Sherry, I just want to tell everybody I found a fucking Carvel ice cream store last night. That's like the greatest thing ever, because they closed in Massachusetts, right? You couldn't find one. I
wow.
found one.
There's
Oh,
wow, that's awesome. I didn't know that that's awesome. I love
I
ice
know, I
cream.
know. It doesn't seem like a big deal, folks, but
No, it is.
let me tell you, Carvel ice cream for
It's
me is like
the
it's the
favorite.
best. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the favorite.
yeah.
Well, you know what I just saw? I saw a post that Boston's getting cannabis ice cream. I'm getting, I don't know what company, but at one point in time when I was
I
up at a
remember seeing
dispensary,
one, a cannabis ice cream company, like a
yeah,
year ago.
yeah, it's coming back. So there's going to be cannabis ice cream here in Massachusetts, which
Oh, how
you
can you
you
not love that?
for a fact I'll be in line for that to get
Hell
my
yes.
ice
Let's
cream
loop
going.
it back into Humulene. Maybe they'll have something
Humulene,
with Humulene.
ice
We don't
cream,
know.
slushy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting
So what
back
else
on
do we
track.
have? Yeah, getting
Yep.
back on
So
track. Sorry, we got off on a little bit of a weight loss,
food,
but
weight loss.
analgesic or pain reliever, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And it's because it's a strong anti-inflammatory. You
Yeah.
know, the very strong properties where this terpene has compared to steroids. So the anti-inflammatory effect of Humulene has
Right.
been compared to steroids such as dexamethasone, right? And this
And
has been effective for what, arthritis,
yeah.
bursitis,
And
fibromyalgia.
so here's the important part of that share. We know all those steroids have awful side effects. Like if you take them for long enough, your body stops producing them on its own, right? So
Oh
that's
yeah.
why you got to taper off so that your body says, "Hey, wait a minute. Oh
Oh
shit, I'm
yeah.
supposed to be doing something. Adrenal glands, let's go." You know what I mean? So there's always, what are
And
some of the side effects of steroids?
well,
Weight gain, bloating, awful
osteoporosis.
osteoporosis, mood swings,
Oh
awful
yeah,
mood swings, right? So a lot of stuff
horrible.
associated with it. If we can get some of that anti-inflammatory properties from cannabis,
Yep. Yeah. I was on
huge.
steroids. Like, just a quick example, I was on
Hmm.
steroids for over 2 years. And not
Oh,
only was I
yeah,
on that
because of what
roller
your
coaster.
condition was, right?
Oh,
Absolutely,
horrible.
steroids indicated.
And then I go to get my osteoporosis check 3 years later, and
Yeah,
the bone density test, because
yep,
osteoporosis runs in my family. I was managing it well. 3 years later,
yep.
I have osteoporosis.
Sure you do.
And I couldn't. I was
Steroids
like,
leach your bones, right?
yeah. So, but the good news is,
Yeah.
you know, cannabinoids can help prevent those,
Cannabinoids
can help
promote
prevent
bone
bone
growth.
growth.
That we've
Exactly.
seen studies that show that cannabinoids increase
Yep.
bone growth,
Bone
right?
growth. So an
Yeah.
important factor is, here's the turnaround when it comes to
Hmm.
that, is cannabinoids plus all of the other endocannabinoid system enriching activities, such as working out, to promote bone health, to get that,
Yeah. Well, we
that
know with
growth.
osteoporosis that weightlifting, weight bearing
Mhm.
exercise promotes bone growth as well. So if
Absolutely.
you're suffering from that, starting to use some weightlifting, pushing
Yep.
weight actually will help that as well. So you're right, Sherry. It's all tied in
Tied in.
together. It's all of those things that we do, cannabis and exercise and meditation and all of those positive things that we have in our lives to promote our
Yep.
endocannabinoid system function.
Yes. So anyway, so getting back,
Yeah.
weight loss, analgesic, pain reliever, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer.
Yeah.
Right? Humulin has been known to inhibit tumor growth by producing reactive oxygen
Hmm.
chemicals that help destroy cancer cells. So this was taken right from Canna-Keys.
Yeah.
So, looking at inhibiting cancer growth. So when we're looking at cannabinoids and terpenes, anti-proliferative, anti-angiogenic, anti-metastatic, and pro-apoptosis,
Hmm.
apoptosis. So Humulene contributes to the entourage effect with the rest of the cannabis constituents to help
Right.
inhibit tumor growth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Antibacterial.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Antibacterial. Yeah. Especially against staph. Yeah.
Antiviral.
And, antiviral as well. I mean, these are things that, you may think are not that prevalent these days, like malaria. Well, in this country, malaria hasn't been that much of a problem for a while, but in the rest of the world, it's still killing millions of people. Right. So this is a big deal, right? Dengue fever, lymphatic filariasis,
and
other viruses, yeah. But like linalool and limonene, Humulene is toxic against fungus and pests.
There you go.
Yeah.
Antifungal, antimicrobial, antiviral. How cool is that, right?
So cool.
So cautions.
So,
and when we talk about cautions, this is like we're talking about the isolated compound of Humulene. We're not talking about the little tiny, tiny bits that are found in these different products. But in concentration, Humulene appears as a pale liquid with colors ranging between yellow, green, and clear, and it's concentrated form. So when it's really, really concentrated, it may cause irritation to skin, eye, and mucous membranes, including the respiratory tract. Right. So that's we get to look at the various different things, and don't go out and buy a bottle of Humulene. This is just this is for education.
If you even could, I mean, this is just so hard.
I know, terpenes. So then also to research cannabis. We'll just wrap this up really coolly in a way. So when we look at cannabis, this is the most update research that is out there.
It's a great tool.
It is a great tool.
Hey, Tiffany's got a question real quick, Cher.
Sure.
Hey, Tiff, you can find a certificate of analysis on, if you can't find it on a product that's out there, then you probably shouldn't be using that product. But almost all of them will have a certificate of analysis that'll tell you what the breakdown is of what's in that product. Yeah. So it'll tell you terpenes. It'll tell if they've done the testing that they should do. Right?
Yes,
Sharon?
Absolutely. And with our Green Nurse Approved program that's rolling out, so Green Nurse Approved, we require certificate of analysis for any product that we would ever suggest or educate on. And so in the holistic caring community, there is a Green Nurse Approved CBD marketplace. So that's a really good place to go to look. And all of the products that are available in that marketplace all have certificate of analysis. So that might be a great place. I'm just going to plug it. Go to the community to learn.
Boom.
You'll be able to see boom, boom, boom. CBD and looking at the different products out there.
Yeah.
Can't wait for when it's federally legal, when we can have THC products.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so that's yeah. That's anyways, probably the hardest when we're coaching people, different states, different countries.
I know, it is.
What do you have available? And it's sad when we know that there's another product that would work so much better for them, right?
Oh,
and it's not available wherever they live. It's just sad.
It is sad because this is why we're here, folks. We're here to decrease stigma and educate and empower you all, to get out there and to make decisions. This is how it's going to happen, is through education. There's going to be a critical mass in the community where people are going to be like, listen.
Yeah.
And and eventually, we're seeing it little by little, starting to unfold where we're getting closer and closer to legalization. But anyways, here we go. Back to research with Humulene. 14 studies. 5 lab, 4 animal, 0 meta-analysis, which I thought was interesting. 0 human, but then there was
0 double blind. And it makes sense, Sherry. I mean, again, research costs money. They're going to go with research that
makes more sense right now.
Makes more sense right now, and that is so to the higher level. What are even cannabinoids doing in our body?
Right.
Humulene's a very minor terpene. That's going to be way down the line. Research isn't going to be done right. They'll do some lab stuff because they have it available and it's easy to do and less expensive. But once you get into recruiting people for a study, it gets expensive really, really quickly. Yeah.
It does. And the other thing too is we have to remember, even if they're doing animal studies, animals have endocannabinoid systems.
They sure do.
We know that outcomes might be different between animals and humans. However, it is a good reference point to start studying.
Oh, yeah.
So the receptors that were associated with the research were the CB1 receptors, which are
Yep.
primarily found in the brain and central nervous system, but they're also found in the cardiovascular system, GI system,
Right.
muscular, reproductive, and respiratory system. And
Mm-hmm.
so the top conditions that were related to the studies, Mark, what were they?
Oh, number one, here we go. Inflammation, of
Here we go.
course. When we talk about cannabinoids and terpenes, we always talk about anti-inflammatory properties. What else here? We got cancer,
Cancer, specific
non-specific,
and specific, including
and
breast.
specific.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Looking at
Yeah.
breast cancer, liver, colon, and ovarian.
Mm-hmm.
And then pain, which goes
Right.
back to inflammation, so generalized pain, chronic pain. And then the
Yeah.
interesting one too is asthma.
Right.
So interesting enough about that. Think about
Well, when we talk,
airways.
we talk about asthma. Asthma is an inflammatory condition, right? It's an inflammatory condition in the lungs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're right. So it would make sense that something that has cannabis and terpenes that have anti-inflammatory properties may just be a positive experience for somebody with asthma.
Right. And here's another cool one. Here's another hug and a nug. So just imagine if you're looking, asthmatics that I've actually spoken to have said that specific terpenes, even along the lines of pinene, which is a bronchodilator, opening up airways. All right. You think about how cool this is. So looking at, like we said, the multiple different cannabinoids and the terpenes together can really, really help someone make a better choice to have the specific outcomes that they're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
So asthma for the win. Terpenes for the win. So there's so anyway, so the bottom line too, when we looked at all these studies, just being lab and animal, like Mark said, there's no clinical human trials, but so far the results have been very promising from what's been studied so far.
Boom.
Boom.
What strains are high in Humulene?
All right. Now we talk about strain names. It's, basically these strain names have been around for a long time to give kind of a reference point to, how the plant may be working. But when we're really talking about strains, it's more along the lines for inhalation type of purposes, because a lot of the products, unless they actually are able to measure the exact terpenes, the strain names really don't have an effect if you're consuming edibles, different things. It's really, I've found that it's more specific to inhalation. And the strains that have been high in Humulene include what? Jack Herer, Chemdog, Original Glue, Death Star, Sour Diesel.
Yeah.
What are some of the other ones?
Headband, Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie, Original Glue. What else, Sherry?
Candyland.
Yeah.
Sherbert.
Yeah.
Gelato. White Widow, and Pink Kush.
Yes.
So the interesting thing about all of these names, if you look at them, they're a variety. So when you're looking, like if you go to Leafly or some of those other places that describe different strains, these different strains are a mixture of sativa, hybrid, and indica, right? And they all contain Humulene in them. So that's the most important point for people. There you go. And there we go.
Yeah.
And we forgot about our awesome chart. Thank you, Nurse Mark. Look at this.
Yes, I know.
This great chart. That's a great way to end. So the entourage effect, showing these are showing the different terpenes, the different effects that may have, and how they're all found in different constituents. So like we had said, certificate analysis is a really good way for you to see what's in your medicine and how it might have an effect.
And these terpenes are in super small little increments, right? Yeah. But they all have a positive effect in the entourage effect.
Yes. So this has been a special edition of Terpene Tuesday with our handy dandy awesome chart. And I'm gonna post that up a little bit later.
Yeah.
Put it up. And so Mark, this has been a really awesome show. I really love. It's been a very tender show.
Sherry, it's been a very tender show. That's right. Yeah, just try a little tenderness, Sherry.
Just a little tenderness. I'm going to, just a little tenderness. TLC with yourself and with others. That's for sure.
Yes. Remember, you're being inundated all day long with millions of data points, all of it meaningless till you apply the meaning. So you know what? You can take a little time, be tender with yourself, and then be tender with the world.
Be tender with the world. Absolutely. So join us You want some TLC? More hugs and nugs? Lots of love?
Get in there.
The Green Nurse Caring
Yes.
Community. I'm going to plug it every day because it is off of social media. It's private. It's uncensored.
Right.
Free to get in. Free CBD marketplace with Green Nurse approved products. Free introductory to cannabis course.
And you
free
think we're uncensored here?
Oh yeah, you guys.
Come on in.
Oh yeah. And the free book club, right? So the first book that we're going to be reading is
Elizabeth
Mack's Cannabis for Health, Become a Coach. We're going to go through this. I've completed the book. It's great. We're going to be talking about this on the show. And then the second book that we're going to be having in the in the book club is Nurse Mark's book. This is really good stuff, and we're offering this to you guys all for free. So come join us.
Come on in.
Yeah,
and you're gonna love it.
Oh, wait, is today Tuesday or today's Tuesday?
Okay, today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
I think, Jesus, don't get me going. I think today's Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. Terpene Tuesday, Sherry.
Terpene Tuesday. Yeah. So tomorrow, Wednesday, happy hump day. You know, we have our regular morning show, and then we have Nurse Denise coming on. So Nurse Denise is going to come on.
So excited.
Well, you haven't interviewed her yet, so this is
going to be not.
So this is going to be really, really fun.
I am going to have fun interviewing Nurse Denise. This is going to be a good time. Denise, we're going to have such a great conversation. I can't wait. You're such a cool, interesting chick. I can't wait to really dig in and find out more about Nurse Denise, hear about her journey. Because it's everybody's journey is different, baby. Everybody's journey is just their own.
And the part that's really cool, there will be a really cool conversation because she was a military nurse. She was a flight nurse.
Which I love. I got to hear that story.
Which is great. So I know she's got a really compelling story as to what brought her to cannabis, and then how she's grown and evolved with us in the Green Nurse platform. And now what she's doing, you know, bringing in experiential learning and creating retreats for people.
Love it.
So
love
it's
it.
Be a great
Cannications, baby.
Cannications with the Green Nurses.
Fun.
Good stuff.
Anyways, good stuff.
I don't know, Mark. I'm having an AFA day already. I don't know about you.
Sherry, I'm living my best life ever.
That's good. Because guess what?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Love you guys. See y'all later on.